All right. Tanmay nu start చేయి. నాకు టైం లేదంట. నీకు అక్కర్లేదు, నీకు తెలుసు ఆల్రెడీ భజన అంతా. No, Tanmay, let it go. Do only once, okay? Yeah. Just for the pitch.
Okay. Going to the right. Pick the right. Right. Keep going.
Yep. Just you start. Can you? I was actually running. Yes. Thank you. Thanks, ma. Jaiba is here. Can we unmute this? This is not. Oh, this is. Okay, I will practice it.
Huh? Oh, give me a second, give me a second. Let's give the pitch. Can you put the so go left, go left. Okay. No, go one more. Yeah. Okay. Swami, take the hand.
Soumya.
Pitch. Swami, take my hand. Bhagav, you have to pitch also.
No, I don't think so. We sang this as a thing. No, that's fine.
No, no.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Only English, right? Oh, we are doing
I
Swami
think
Sharanam.
Swami Sharanam.
Okay. Swami, take my hand. Jesus, take my hand. Dear Lord, take my hand. Take my hand and take the hand. Never forget you, you will always be with me. Dear Lord, take my hand and lead the way. Your guide and protector, mother and father. Dear Lord, take my hand and lead the way. Teach me love and service, peace and contentment. Dear Lord, take my hand and lead the way. That's enough, right? Okay.
Last meaning towards the end.
Yeah, so if you sing it only once, ma.
Okay.
Each line once and the last line 10th bhajan. Each line once, last line 2 times. And then we go to Sharanam, Swami Sharanam. Yes, next time.
Each line one time, last time two times.
Yes, that's good. Because it's long otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. They have to do.
So next, go right? Right, one more. One more. Okay. Anjaneya Veera. Yeah. Anjaneya Veera.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, 5 times.
Yeah,
It will come 5 times.
Yeah,
The last line.
Yeah.
Can we turn on the fan today? Sorry,
Yeah.
Saira. Yeah, you're sweating and not. Thank you. Yeah. Sairam, everyone. We'll be starting our study circle in about 3 minutes actually. Can I have the volume go up, Jay Bhai, please? This one. I can't hear it. Oh, maybe it's because it's turned that side. That's okay. Oh, thank you. I always thought I'm not being heard. Yes, thank you. A few housekeeping items. Please hold the microphone to your mouth in a right angle. That is, if I don't press any button. And just we can be heard clearly if you hold it to the right angle to your mouth.
Looks fine. Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Check, check.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Can you check if there is a battery charge? Is it all green? No. In case battery goes.
Sai Ram.
Yeah, the green was not having full charge. No.
No, let's not. Let's not.
Okay, can we change the,
Yeah. Oh, you need that. Oh.
just the mic,
The remote.
just the remote. Can someone just go online? Make sure we can see. I have unmuted. Yeah. Sairam, if you can hear me online, please give a thumbs up if anyone's online. Please online. You can hear that? Okay. Please got it so that. Sairam, let's start the study circle with 3 ohms. Oh. 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 Our prayer to Swami. Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavatha Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. I know we had a break, so I just want to make sure that everyone has their cell phones muted. And let's just remember to stay focused on topic. Let's be respectful and open-minded, and let's ask questions that arise that are pertinent to our discussion. So with that, the best approach is to try to leave our ego outside this bhajan hall, so it will help us to take away a few lessons from today's discussion. So with that, I know we had a break last week from this regular discussion, and we had Ravi ji actually talk about Ramakatha Rasavahini, but we were discussing karma and dharma, and today we are going to continue that discussion. We were talking about actions without having self-interest. We talked about if it is possible, how important it is to work towards a goal. We talked about defining action, because only actions that are dharmic are considered as yoga of action. That's what we talked about for quite some time. And then the 5 values of truth, peace, love, nonviolence, and right action that are the basis for our spiritual growth. These values, we have all agreed that they define the life choices. We had talked about examples of Charles Darwin's life as well as of Mendel. Both of them have been phenomenal scientists, but their journeys vary just because of their spiritual approach. So the next that we did talk about was how prayer is important and how faith impacts us. And then we talked about what you pray for and how you pray is also important. And then we ended with saying that silence is key for any prayer. And I think that's where our discussion ended. We ended last session with Om reading us the next piece of karma and dharma speech or talk by Swami. And I would like to come back and kind of read this through. He is now giving us an example of the dharmic actions and how karma impacts. So again, if someone could read it, Bhargav, do you want to read that?
Take, for instance, the case of Sakubai. When Sakubai wanted to join the pilgrims going to Pandharpur, Krishna could have openly arranged for her joining the party, but he did not do so. If she would have gone against her husband's will, she would have got a bad name. To maintain her good reputation and show her as an example to the world, Krishna assumed Sakubai's form and subjected himself to all kinds of harassment of the mother in law, while the real Sakubai was sent to Pandharpur. Why did Krishna do this? The Lord is ready to assume any form and subject himself to any hardship to uphold Dharma. On the one hand, public opinion must be respected. On the other hand, other side, the devotee should not go astray. Only the divine knows how to reconcile these opposites. Men, in general, can look at things only from their personal point of view. They cannot have an integral view of things. Students should note that on one side, they must set an example to the world by their behavior. At the same time, they must conform to the will of the divine. They must follow both these courses. They must please their parents who have done so much for them. They must bring credit to the institute that has been their alma mater. Whatever you are here or elsewhere, your conduct must be the same. It is unworthy of a human being to vary his behavior according to place and time. Sanctify every act, recognizing the supremacy of action. You must see that everything you do is pure and holy. Action is not limited to what you do with your hands. What you hear, what you see, what you speak, and even what you think, all of them constitute action.
Sairam. So I just wanted to kickstart our discussion. So I just put a few questions here, but they're not limited. So what are the lessons from Sakubai's story? That's a very high level. But but now when I remembered, I was actually going to change the story to actually ask how so Swami already says that we cannot have an integral view of things. I mean, he does not say that we would even know, but however, we are trying to kind of get rid of our personal point of view at all times, right? How do we do that? How are we putting that into practice? If he himself knows that we are defined by time and space, how can our actions not we cannot have an integral view at all. So how can that be the right action, I guess, or selfless action?
So he doesn't say you cannot have it at all. Remember, you can reach Swami's level too if you purify yourself to that level. So you cannot say you cannot. We can. But you have to do that internal purification to reach that stage to see the integral view. I think that's what it is.
Sairam, I think I agree, kind of agree with Shobhaji. If we completely surrender, even for that moment, I think that's what you mean by reaching to Swami's level. So basically, you have the complete faith that whatever I am doing, okay, the action could be done by you, but you have the complete surrender that you are just an instrument. You're doing what, according to you, when you are completely surrendering, what you think is dharmic, and that which you're doing. And when we do that action, he will take that role. For example, in this Sakubai's case, he took the role of Sakubai and faced all the hardships. So, so if you have that complete surrender and do that, even that Swami student that I shared, it's like that. So when you completely surrender to him, he will take care. The only problem with us is that ability to completely surrender. So we have that fear coming in. What if that fear keeps coming in because we don't know the future, we are afraid, and that's why that total surrender becomes a challenge for us.
But we also should be prepared for the challenges. So
Yes.
Swami tests you. It's not like, okay, you did it and oh, he sees the complete faith and you get it on the first go. So that's
Correct. See, Harishchandra is a very good example of the challenge. So, but he didn't give up. So, yeah, you should be prepared for the challenge. I agree with that.
Civic surrender, yes, we say I surrender, but we are attached to what we are expecting from that surrender. I give up this thing, but if I'm attached to the net result, what will come in the future, I'm attached to that. So that's not quite surrender.
No, that's not surrender.
That's
Surrender
not
is
surrender.
accepting whatever happens is for the good.
Exactly.
For it's not necessarily my good, it's for the good of the whole thing. So it's not even good for me. Whatever happens is good for my, it's for my good. It's not even my good, it's for the entire
Total
good.
good.
So it may be leading to us having some challenges, some problems, some troubles, but it's okay. It's overall, it's for the good. Good for the society, good for the entire situation, maybe.
See, I've said this surrender, I find that difficult only because what the results will be, I'm attached to that. I want the way I want it. It doesn't work out that way. When you surrender, then whatever will come out is not what you wanted. If we accept that, that doesn't matter what will come out, it's okay. Then it is a true surrender. I would
I
feel
agree.
it that way.
okay. So now I see what you're saying. Yeah, so totally agree with that kind of surrender. But I mean, and that's a challenge, Ashaji. So let's talk about what lessons from Sakubai's story. So I know he only gave a little instance of Sakubai's story actually, but it's a lot of detail about her life and how she always wanted to go to Pandharpur and see Vitthal. And after all of that, only eventually she wanted to actually also end her life at some point because she wanted to go and she could not. And there was just so much drama in her life. And eventually she can go and she leaves in the morning, but no one in the family knows about it. And Krishna comes in from the well because she used to she used to fill the water in the morning from the well, and Krishna comes and assumes her form from that particular chore in the morning, and he does everything in the form of Sakkubai. And of course, at the end, everyone realizes that Krishna had come. But why did Krishna do that? I mean, why would God want to come down and suffer like that? What did Sakkubai bring?
So suffer is not the right word for Krishna or for the Lord.
Agreed.
But physically, yes, maybe what you're saying
Yeah.
is some physical this one. But for God, it's not. It's nothing.
Correct.
But the reason why he had to do that is because Sakubai had complete surrender. I think that is the thing. So she had complete surrender. She was prepared to, because her conviction that she's doing the right thing, because going to have the darshan of Vittal in Pandharpur is her life. She felt that will be her salvation. So she wanted to do that. So that is the right thing. So Krishna comes down to prove that is the right thing.
That is correct, because at the end, when they realize that Krishna was there in her form, he takes her with her. She's no longer continuing her janma. She has completed her purpose of life. Yeah. So I had anyone.
I think we have heard not only Sakkubai's story, but many devotee stories, right? God comes down to their, because if you're praying with pure heart, he will come down and make it happen for you. And we have seen many, many examples of this, like Mirabai, Ramdas, Tulsidas, all these great devotees. That's the power of pure bhakti, right? If you have that pure bhakti in you, complete surrender and faith, anything can happen.
You see, sometimes it doesn't have to be the Lord assuming some human form. It can be even an instance that happens. So that is the thing. So you are, for example, you are surrendering, you are going for a good cause, and you fear that there could be some challenge. For example, Sakubai had this physical, I mean, like family challenge for her to go, but then she decides to go. Then what happens is that in this case, Krishna takes the form, but it need not happen in some actuals. There could be a car guiding you. There could be a something helping you in going that. That itself is divine only. So you have to see the divinity. So that is that we have to train ourselves to look at that divinity. So what happens usually we ignore that. We assume that it is coincidence, or we just don't even care about it. But that always happens.
So in this one, I'm reminded of Shankaran's example, right? That story, two people looking at the same thing with two different viewpoints, right? One saying all the negative things, and the other one saying all the positive. So we have to train our mind to look at the positive things, like.
Saira, I don't know if it's related to it or not, but when we say surrender, I think surrender itself means that we are surrendering to Saira or God. So that itself says that, Swami, I want you. What Swami says, when you love Swami, you say, I want you, Swami. So that means you're inviting Swami to your life and asking him, I am surrendering to you. Please take care from now on. So that brings the utmost faith in you. So we had a conversation, faith and fear, where I agree, like when you have that faith, when you love Swami, you're inviting Swami to your life, that's the moment you surrender and leave it to him. And from there, stand for what you surrendered. Believe in the action that you did and don't doubt yourself. That itself answers a lot of things.
Yep. So as Venkatji was saying, we need to train our mind. That's so important. Training repeatedly, thinking for the positivity, and not taking it as just a coincidence. That is so important. We always call it a coincidence, but once we train ourselves, we'll find that divine role coming in to help you. So every small instance is in your life. You have to start to train that this is not just a coincidence. He has come down to help you. I remember so many times we used to go for morning satsang in India, and I had to go to work after that, after satsang in the morning. So that's so tight, such a tight time, and it was so tightly packed. So many times when the satsang sometimes gets prolonged in the bhajans and some pravachan is happening, as a human being, we all get anxious that you will get late for the job. So Guruji used to give the ishara, Manoj, just settle down, just take it easy. And the way they used to express, we'll take care of it, don't worry. And the patient who had to come at 9 o'clock, he got late on the way, he got some other problem in the way. And, these are very small examples, but you can, once you start to train your mind in that direction, that he will come and help you, that's it. He came and helped so many times that you are getting late, but you will not lose your patience, you will not lose your time, you will be in time. And that's how you, small things will make you realize its existence.
I had few things, but it just left. And again, when we say surrender, it doesn't mean that we are right. We might be wrong for an instance. So surrender, I believe that it might be wrong thing, it might be right thing, but accept whatever without an ego. That itself says that you're surrendering for every act you do.
So Raki, here I have a question for you. When you say it might be a wrong thing, that means when you did that action, did you in your mind have that thing as wrong?
No.
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 So how do you know it's wrong then?
That's what. We don't know unknowingly if it's a right thing or a wrong thing that we did. I believe in God where I feel my action, what I believed in myself, may be the action. But if there is something that I need to learn out of it, I should accept and grow out of it. I think so. But correct me.
No, there's nothing wrong. It's what works and what you can do to stay focused on it. So that was my next question. So what are your actions or what is your practice Because all of this is practice. Nothing happens overnight. So what is your practice? Yes,
So,
please go ahead.
no, the way Rakhiji was mentioning, wrong means just like Sakubai, it might look wrong from the worldly point of view that she is not serving the in-laws and the family and she is rushing for Pandarpur. So it might look wrong in that manner. But once you get what is the higher goal, what is the higher good, if you have the higher good in mind, those small wrongs will be taken care of. So that's what I think she meant. I mean,
Also, the other aspect of it is your intention may be good. You're doing something with a good intention, but the consequence may be bad for someone else. But that's not what your intent is. I think that is important. So whatever the result of that bad consequence that happened, you should be able to accept it. That's what where she said that you shouldn't have the ego. Yes, I accept that was a mistake probably, but I didn't intend to make that mistake. As long as you're clear from that standpoint, I think we're good.
that is exactly what Krishna was trying to tell Arjuna. Those consequences might look bad. There are so many people are dying, but the ultimate good is good.
Sure. Just an idea. If we can look at our life, whatever is happening, anything and everything happening, and for a moment look at it where if we can see a divine hand in it, the frustrations come, misery comes, good things come, everything comes and goes. Can we look at it and say, what was the divine hand behind it? To try to understand rather than me, my mind, keep on going there. Put that aside for a while and see how the whole picture is. Then perhaps we may be able to surrender, let go, and so on. It would be a nice experiment, I would say.
I think, yeah, I completely agree with Asha Ji. I mean, every second, every time, we have to see the divinity that is governing, that is working through us and through others, through everybody. So that is the thing. That is where the training of the mind comes into picture. So always we don't think in those lines at all. We just either focus on our work. That's what we want to do. So we don't link that work with the divinity. Go to the next level of seeing that link with the divinity, because the divinity is always acting. And so the beauty of the divinity is it won't make itself prominent. It will be silently working. So that is not its purpose. So we have to put that effort. The meaning when we say the mind has to be put into the work to see the divinity, because divinity is just like it'll just keep quiet. It's a witness, silent witness. It's not going to do anything to project itself. So the mind has to do that job, and so we have to train the mind to do that job. Otherwise, we are
think
not going to see that.
that is why, so Swami says at the end of this, he says, action is not limited to what you do with your hands, because that is the practice, I think, that is more easier for us to recognize and realize. So action is not limited to what you do with your hands. What you hear, what you see, what you speak, even what you think, all of them constitute action. So what does this mean? How, I mean, I know that we all have heard enough to say, oh, this is unity of thought, word, and action, and everyone should have it. Yes, but how is thought and action? How is what you speak and action? I mean, all of that, how do you bring yourself to be that? Because unknowingly, so many times I catch myself not being in that unity.
We do that all the time. So classic example is someone's rude to you and you get mad, right? Inside you're mad, but you won't say it because it's polite, right? You're like, no, no, no. I have to do it many times as a physician. I don't agree necessarily, but I'll keep quiet. Sometimes I get, upset. But everything in God's world counts. My anger will count, my everything. Just because I didn't say it doesn't mean I wasn't angry. So he's the witness. He's already witnessing it. But I can fool myself into thinking, oh, I was very polite, I was very nice, I need to get all the credit for that. No, you know. So that's what it means. It's such a high level of training. You can't even think of those thoughts. You can't even be like, and just because you didn't say it, but you're thinking in your head, you think God doesn't know that?
See,
That's
I'm
fool
reminded
house.
of this. Sorry. I'm reminded of this one incident. where Krishnamurti Garu, I
Yes.
mean, he brings an invitation, invitation printed by somebody. They had invited Swami to give a speech. And in that invitation, it was also say inviting Krishnamurti Garu, and also they had printed it. So he brought it to Swami. And then after seeing that, Swami got really mad. He was extremely mad. And then Krishnamurti, he didn't know why Swami is mad. And then he said, Swami pointed out, I mean, he kept asking, then Swami said, do you see what is written there? And then they said, I mean, he said that they have invited Krishnamurti also in that one. Then he said, I mean, Swami was not happy about that. So then Krishnamurti said, it's not me. They had printed it. I don't have any role. But Swami said, oh, when you read that one, you had, for a minute, you were enjoying that your name is printed in that one. So in that thought, a simple thought of that, Swami knew that. And that thought is, if you're going to enjoy that, that means that ego is coming into picture. And that is what you need to curtail. So in other words, the answer to that, what I feel is you have to continuously watch the mind. That is the only way. And slowly do the meditation and subdue your thoughts, and then go to that level of having lesser and lesser thoughts. That is the only way I can see of um, having that complete surrender even in the thought level.
So that, right? That right there, I think a lot of us have talked about reaching that stage. Now, how do senses impact such things? So we don't even know how our senses are impacting. Like, I will see something, I will like it or I will dislike it. I'm trying to practice not to have raga dvesha. Every day I'm thinking of Shivoham, I'm thinking, no raga, no dvesha, no likes, no dislikes. But when I see something, I promptly catch myself saying, oh, wow, no matter what. I mean, okay, nature, that's different. We can appreciate it. But at the same time, you know, car or a dress or anything. So that little practice itself is so hard.
It's okay to like things and dislike. That's not the issue.
No,
The
but
issue is, are you acting on
thought-
that in a selfish way? Right? I mean, yeah, when your senses are seeing, sometimes I like this color, oh, I don't like that
No, but
color. I don't
cutting
wanna...
down thoughts is what I'm getting at. Even that
That's not
small thing,
possible.
it's not.
No, because your mind is constant. To live this life, you cannot be in that state. You have to be away from this whole jagat to be like that, because it's not possible. Once you open your eyes and start seeing the world around you, interacting with the world, you cannot completely withdraw like that. But you can be in a space where it doesn't impact you as much. With sadhana, that state will come slowly. Is like, for everything you won't be as agitated, as reactive, as you'll be like, oh, okay, this too shall pass. Oh, I'm not affected by this. Oh, I like this. If I have it, fine. If I don't have it, that's fine too. That equanimity will slowly come in with practice. But not completely not having any of those is going to be a very, very, very high state where you cannot have that constant interaction with world. That's why those great people, they're by themselves in silence all the time. Raman Maharshi, he would interact sometimes, but that's not the thing that he does on a daily basis. No, I think,
See, I think, see, Swami never says, I agree. He never says that don't have any thoughts, any desires. The only thing is put a ceiling on that. Ceiling on desires is what he says. So when you have, for example, it's a training, it's a constant practice, it's a sadhana. It's not like you have achieved it and there is no more. It's not like that. So it's a continuous process. If you have so much of desires, put an effort to reduce that to some extent. And the more and more you reduce the desires, the more and more equanimous you're going to have. You're going to be. That is the only thing I can.
So I think I agree with Bhavani. Having an understanding of where your thought is going is very, very critical. Only when you understand where your thought is going will you be able to put a, kind of rein in on that thought and be like, hey, listen, stop doing that. And this reminds me of one great soul. I think it was from that Krishna, that group, right? He said that think about you drawing a beautiful picture. And then when you start drawing and then you draw the hair, And then you get even more excited and start squiggling around. And then slowly you squiggle around the entire picture. That is what your thought is. Your thought, that beautiful divine soul is being squiggled around by the thoughts. So always watch your thought. And and you know that slowly it will happen. It will happen, but it will take time. But you have to watch your thought. And I think I agree with um, Bhavani regarding that, that we have to watch. And also, I think the other thing I thought is that whenever there is yin, there is yang, right? So whenever you love somebody so much, there will be also a part that will, hate somebody a lot. I feel that we have to have a moderation of everything. That is what I
Yeah.
feel.
And I only recognize that after my child turned 15. My daughter turned 15 and I recognized it right away because she either loves it or she hates it. There is nothing like it's okay. So because Tanmay never had that kind of, extreme feelings, or at least they boys don't say it, but girls get up with either the day is great or it's really going to go down because there is no sun or whatever it is. But my point is that I didn't realize how I am until I saw that reflection, is what I'm trying to say. So at least I reached that stage to observe and say, oh my God, I'm probably looking like this for Tanmay because I always, he doesn't have it. And I am trying to say, oh, dude, you don't have this. Come on. What is your thought?
So in this one, when you said that, the thought also, and I was like, oh my God, Swami, I made a big mistake today. Because my thought was against my action, completely against my action. And what do you do in that case, right? So somebody's thought process does not mesh with yours. It's completely polar to yours. What do you do then? And you want to help them out, but at the same time, it's so polar that you are being pulled into that vicious, thought process. How do you deal with that? Because you have to help. Helping is critical, but how do we do that without us getting? So I become very silent, very, withdrawn. I do that action, but in the back of my mind, oh my God, oh my God, oh my. So how do we stop that thought process? How do we do that? I frankly don't know, right? So that part of I'm still not sure about that.
Yeah, I think that is a sign of the extent of surrender we have. So that varies. So I mean, we can surrender. When we say surrender, it's at different levels. So we can say I surrender, and it's not a total unconditional surrender. In other words, that's what it means.
So it's not just about doing our mundane regular things, right? Even if you want to do service, for example, and Swami says use discernment when you are serving. Make sure that you're serving for a selfless cause, you're doing the right, whatever X number of things that he has said, depending on the situation with different people. So when you are, for me at least, even when I am trying to serve or help someone with which I have nothing to do, I just don't know if that my action being the right action, right? Of course, it's not up to them. It's just my thought, because I am getting kind of annoyed, or I am like in a rush because I have to go back and do XYZ, whereas this person needs the help for ABC, which they are totally correct. They need what they need. But for us to kind of be able to give that time at that specific moment, because that's when they need the help, is very hard to do, even if you want to be selfless and righteous in a lot of ways.
So that's where, as Venkatji has mentioned, that role of prayer and surrender will come. So we do our best, but still stay humble, stay low, you know, prayer to Lord that give me enough power and brains to help. But if I cannot, then it's okay. That also it's okay. Let's not put, everything on your head. You have to surrender to Him at that stage.
Yeah, my point too. Because it is our ego that is telling only you can help. Why do we have this? God has so many people. He'll send someone else to help too. Why are we the putting it on my thing? So if I'm not able to do it, truly not able to do it, I'll say, God, it's up to you. Please help them in some way, right? And He is more than capable of helping every one of us.
And the initial topic which Bhavanji has mentioned about the senses are made to sense. The sensory system is made to, that's their duty. Smell, that nose duty is to smell, tongue's duty is to taste. So they are doing their job. That's what Krishna told in Bhagavad Gita. All these indriya are the ghore, and your mind is the sarthi. So that is the point. Your mind has to control those
Very nice.
senses. The senses will do their job. So you have to be the controller to take the Atma who is the in the chariot in the right direction.
Very nice point, Sairam. Anyone else have anything to add, or we can move?
Yeah, when we talk of surrender, um, to what degree do we have? Is it complete? Uh, I will surrender as far as it benefits. As soon as I'm being at a loss, then I will step in, my ego will step in. So the more the ego has to be really put down, and first we have to surrender to God in everything, in every aspect, and that is sadhana.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you. All right, so we can move on, but this was actually, this is coming to the end of our discussion. This is the final, this is where Swami has ended this, and we will move on to our chapter. So this is, Om, are you here? Will you be able to stand up and read? Because I say stand up only because you can't see the screen. So many heads here. Please stand up. Thank you so much.
This this means that the things you see, the words you hear, thoughts you think, and the speech you make should all be pure, and that you take in through your five senses should be wholesome and pure, and not only merely your food alone. Only then can it satisfy sattvic, pure. Devotion is not confined to bhajans and exhibiting a yearning for Swami. Every one of your actions should be filled with devotion. Each one is the architect of his destiny. And as Bhishma pointed out to Dharmaraja, no one can avoid the consequences of his actions. What he can do is the prayer to the Lord and show him now he can atone for his wrongdoings. It is essential to suffuse all our actions with dharma. That dharma should be dedicated to the divine. When this happens, life becomes sanctified. There may be no birth at all. Therefore, build your lives at the four pillars of Janma, Karma, Dharma, and Brahman. This is my benediction for all of you.
Sairam. So thank you, Om. So this Swami is ending the entire karma and dharma discussion by just saying that look at the four pillars that build your life. And so I thought, how does karma impact the four pillars, like the three other pillars, basically? How do our actions relate to devotion on a daily basis? And what actions should we take today to build our lives on the four pillars that have been mentioned? These are just a few questions that came to my mind, but absolutely open to anything, any other discussion points as well that I may have missed.
Sairam, Bhavani, can you go back to the, yeah. So here Swami says everything has to be pure. What is purity? what is impure?
I think there is a definition of sattvic. He says all that you take in through your five senses should be wholesome and pure, and not merely your food alone. So I guess again I come back to the same use of our five senses in the way Manojji has described. Rein it in, keep it under control, but I guess that's the only way to be wholesome. You wholesome, I think you just
See, the way
It's-
I see anything, thought, words, or actions that lead you to materialistic or body centric, that is impure. Anything that is leading to God centric is pure. That's how I see the distinction between pure and impure.
I would no. Sorry, I would agree differently from you in this matter. What he meant in this phrase, in this context, is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Food, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, all the five senses, they all have these three categories. The sound also can be sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Food, smell, and all the five senses, touch. So I think what they meant here is when he specifically mentioned sattvic, so they want to say the food should be sattvic and other all these, not just food, all the five things he meant should be sattvic. Maybe this is not the right platform to to go in what you were mentioning about anything about God would be sattvic, everything else would not be sattvic. So that's not the context here. Over here, it's so it's not only the food. If you eat good food, but still go and listen to all those unnecessary things, which will evoke unnecessary emotions in you, we should not. That's not sattvic. We should be avoiding. So that's what we were discussing a few weeks ago. Unnecessary exposure to unnecessary musics, to unnecessary vision, to unnecessary of speaking. All these things would be not sattvic. It should be avoiding.
Going to, if you go back to Jean Klein talking of purity is the saying, that reminds me of what Jean Klein had said, pure listening or pure seeing. In that, when the I fact, this is my words, I try to understand. Okay, when you are, say you're hearing something, let's say, there is this I factor, the ego factor is there, whatever we are listening. And he says, if you don't conceptualize what you are listening, you don't conceptualize, I like it, I don't like it, this is good, this now, all that conceptualizing. You don't do that. You're purely just listening. But when you don't conceptualize, that I factor is not there. I like this, I don't like this, I want this. That I factor will be out of it if we are listening without that. So that perhaps would be a pure listening where you are not there. That I factor, your own self is not there, but you are listening to the pure, whatever that purity is, whether it's eating or it is listening, hearing, whatever. In all those five senses, as he explained, Jean Klein, you can be pure, you can get it pure if you don't conceptualize. And I put in my words, yes, when we don't conceptualize, that I factor is out of it, then you're purely hearing. Like if you're listening to music, no matter what music it is, you're listening, but you're not saying, I like this, I don't like this, when will it end? This is the end of it. I can't take it anymore. I'm tired. All that is I. That is the ego factor that is in that listening part. So he says, if you are not conceptualizing, then I say that I factor in there is out of it, then there's a pure hearing. This is what I understood by his purity. He is telling now that purity could be in eating. Any of the five senses, we can apply the same principle if we. I'm not saying it's easy, but yes, it is possible to do it. How much we can do every day, I don't know. But that is one way of making it pure, what you are, whether you are hearing or you are seeing, eating, or the, if your I factor is not, I like, I don't like, I, let that be aside. Just feel what it is. That's it. Take it as it is. Um, and I thought that had made sense, and it does still make sense to me.
Sairam, can you hear? Yeah, pardon me if I say anything wrong. This is my second satsang actually. But I think when Venkatji was saying, anything that leads to God is pure. Anything that leads to God is pure versus, anything that doesn't go in the direction of God is impure. And then Manojji was talking about the context is different, but I think they are talking about the same thing here because uh, uh, we are talking about the five senses, right? So food, sattvic, and the thought can also be sattvic in the sense like that sattvic thought can actually lead to God, like what Venkatji was saying, right? So I think they both are talking the same, probably in a different way. But all the five senses, when they are sattvic, when they are pure, they are actually taking you to the God.
Yeah. I have a very simple question about food. We should take good food, pure food. No, sattvic food is something which doesn't have masala, doesn't have ghee, sugar, and all that. But even Swami asks us to cook good food with everything good, and he feeds us too. Why? If you're supposed to take sattvic food, then don't you think we should cut down on everything? But no, we do that with a lot of love. And I feel that if we actually stick to so-called sattvic food everywhere, a lot of the problems, health issues can come down. But we are not doing that. It's the question that came to my mind.
No,
Sairam.
I feel when he said sattvic, sattvic doesn't just mean, taking less spices. It's also the quantity. It is like you are just feeding the body to nourish the body, right? So it has to be everything combined together. So the thought is when we think of this body as the God's temple and we are doing that work, then you'll take less, you will work out, because you want to keep that thing strong, and which none of us do. And
Example myself, if I happen to eat, I mean, not always, but many times, stale food from yesterday, or which was not, or eat from outside, which might not have been cooked properly, or I would have bad dreams the same night. I'll, I mean, immediately it will show my a response. So I don't know what the significance of that is. So I can correlate, the food I ate the previous night was not. So
Yeah, sorry. The other question I think I'm leading to ask is when Subhadra has mentioned, like when we say sattvic food, while cooking, the food might be sattvic, but what if our thoughts are not pure at that moment? Then it's gone. So probably, yeah. So no, but it's all leads to interlinked everywhere. So it's not, maybe that's what, like, as she said, like you define purity in every aspect. Everything is interlinked. Maybe, I don't know. Your question led to me.
it is why in many, like my mother-in-law, she does not eat onions and garlics. That was supposed to be. I'm not sure how well that is right or not, but they were all Brahman families. They did not used to eat all this. They were supposed not to be sattvic. So they might have some role. That's why they made these rules and regulations.
See, that sattvic and non-sattvic food is basically sattvic food leads you less body centric. More, you can focus more on, because if you eat more like onions,
Yeah.
garlic, and other things, the thought is going to be influenced by it. I mean, that is the thing. So from that standpoint, sattvic food is better. So as you said, I mean, Swami allows, for example, a laddu is served, right, as prasad in Prashant. But that doesn't mean that every day you eat laddu. Every day if you eat a laddu, it's going to affect your health. So once in a while, it's okay. So so we have to look at the quantity and frequency and all that. Everything comes into picture. So it's not just you cannot take one thing and then
I was just gonna say,
generalize.
I
that.
think everything is like that. Even to curbing onions or whatever it is. Shirdi Baba didn't do that.
Exactly, that's what I
Shirdi
was-
Baba did with, he made non-vegetarian as well as vegetarian with his hands, and he gave each one what they deserve. So at the same, so this is Kali Yuga. So what our Vedas are suggesting, whatever, they're not wrong. It's just that because man has gone to this level, God is also trying to compromise there and tell us, hey, this can be done in this much quantity, versus that much, or whatever that whole right action is there. That's all.
On a very lighter note and a joke, please. So maybe we should not make yummy food, right? Then we will eat less, and then it will become very sattvic, right?
It's not a joke, it's actually true. So when you take Shirdi Baba's example,
Right.
he would mix up everything and he would eat because he was not a slave to his senses. It didn't matter what it is. Yes, he did. But we as humans, we always want to make exception. Oh, Baba said it's okay. Or in there, Pandavas ate meat. Or Rama killed and did something. So I can also do it. You're making your excuses for yourself to eat and be okay with it by giving examples. But we all know, don't be slave to that food. Okay, eat what is necessary, eat whatever is available. And that's what Vivekananda did. He was a pure Brahmin, like he was a pure, he used to eat only vegetarian food. He was in US, and then in this house, that lady was cooking only non-veg. He didn't want to upset the host. He didn't want to hurt her feelings. He ate it. But doesn't mean he ate it every single day after that. No, he was on that day or a few times he did. After that, he was back to his usual. That is the message we have to take. Don't be slave to it.
Correct.
Eat what is necessary, and that's it.
So I think Nilimaji wanted to say something. Can we hand over? No, because people can't hear on the online.
Yeah, talking about the sattvic food only, and
Please.
onion and garlic and all. So in earlier days, people would not eat. Especially, I'm talking in context of my grandmother. Also, she was a widowed at the age of 23. So she stopped on her own eating garlic and all. So I tried to find out why they leave garlic, and so it decreases the body heat and keeps your mind calm. So it has scientifically misproven. So it calms down the hormone and calms down your mind and everything. So yeah.
And
Everything.
in addition to what someone mentioned about Sai Baba, all these regulations, rules and regulations are meant for the sadhak, not for the siddh.
Yes.
Yeah, coming back to what Subhadra said, I just wanted to give an example of my friend who is a Sai devotee.
Absolutely.
Okay, and he's a Brahmin, and he always takes only sattvic food. He used to take all sattvic food only, and ultimately what happened, right? His health got deteriorated totally, and he was forced by his physician not to take pure sattvic. Please mix something else to improve your. Otherwise, if you continue to take only sattvic, you are going to spoil your health.
Right.
So sometimes I think sattvic is always good, but in certain circumstances, certain cases, I think taking purely sattvic may not help.
So each one has their own path, right? So that is totally okay as well. The thing is, you have to learn from it and move on. But yes, please go ahead, Jai Bhai.
So if you look at our all gods, what we call Rama, Krishna, all these people are non-vegetarians, in fact, right? So the sattvic food concept came, like exactly I'm coming to Manoj's point. So it depends on what profession you are in. So if you give the sattvic food to some soldier, he'll be just sitting at home. When war is there, nobody is there to fight. So the food is divided, tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic food. It depends on what kind of profession you are in and whether it is needed for you. If it is needed for you, yes, you go for sattvic food. Because if you are a teacher, scholar, researcher, something which doesn't need physical activity much, then go for sattvic food. Even in with sattvic food, as there are so many different categories of food. For example, a lot of people eat non-vegetarian. That's where the rajasic or tamasic won't come, right? Because that's needed. So as per the scriptures, the lowest organism that your body can digest, you prefer from top to the bottom. The bottom is the lowest complex organism that you can digest, which is the sattvic food. That's what the order you can take. Like from that order, you see what level you can go, but what you have, basically. If you don't have, you don't have, basically. So that's what the sattvic food concept should consider when it is practical purposes.
According to your level of profession as well as what duty is assigned to you. Otherwise, hunting, you are killing the animals. But hunting was allowed for the Kshatriyas, all Kshatriyas. Lord Rama did hunting, Lord Krishna did hunting, and they did all these, learned all these skills. Because without these skills, they can't fight. So it depends on what kind of profession you are in also.
On Sairam, I think we are just focusing on one part of
I was just
Bhojan. There are other four things
These other
that
four
Swami has
senses.
talking about there of
So, but
thoughts.
I wanted to just before, Sairam, sorry. Before we do that, I think with the food concept though, we have talked Janma, Karma, Dharma, Brahman. Just now, just about the food aspect of it, because we did say, according to your action or what you're assigned to, that is where the food comes in. The right food needs to go in. I always know when Jai Bhai takes it, we have to kind of wrap it up. It is the right dharma for the right person to do that. So if Rama or Krishna or a Kshatriya killed for a reason, their dharma was that at that moment. They're also very, they are supposed to feed the others, not just eat, because it's not just theirs. They would feed the entire village because they are the Kshatriya. They are supposed to go get it. They are supposed to do this. And at the same time, we have talked about Janma, as in, the clan that you're born in obviously reflects the rest of the action. And everyone knows that if we are doing a dharmic action according to our, according to the dharma, the right action, then obviously Brahman is right there. You are all in sync with all your five elements. So I think food is put to rest, Sairam. So, so the next one, then we should talk about the rest of the senses. So we talked about sense of taste. Yeah, sense of taste. So while Subhadra digests that, so let's talk about, yes.
No, seriously, that
Yeah.
less power. So shall I go or stay back based on? So I'm thinking everybody will eat less, so
Yeah.
I don't need to go.
Okay. No. When we see the food, everyone takes their normal quantity, Sairam. Please, let us not have any such inhibitions there. But okay, so let's talk about, so we talked taste. If we want to, what is the next sense that we want to address? Because this is a nice conversation to kind of, understand where we are. There is no need to kind of, always look at yourself and think if I'm doing the right thing. Yes, please go
So
ahead.
second, after food, the clothing and so as the moment we came in,
Yes.
the moment we came in, Venkatji mentioned, I think no one else was there, about the clothing culture of the satsang.
Yes.
That is so important. So all these things are sattvic versus rajasi, because that will create unnecessary emotions, which is not needed in satsang. So clothing, and we always see Venkatji is always in white dress, white, so that is so sattvic. So all these things do have an impact. We know that. And that's why these rules were made for not only for satsang, for otherwise also, but especially for satsang. Very important.
No, I just to recall, I just mentioned that in Swami's satsang, women wear modest clothing, cover not revealing clothes, and the men also no shorts, always pants and fully covered. That's what I mentioned. So I think that's true with any satsang, as Manoj said, because the whole purpose of a satsang is to move or have God-centric thoughts.
Actually true for churches also, in where, you can show. Yeah.
So, yeah. Any religious. So all of them. I mean, I think we talk about churches because we actually envision them being more open to dressing other than over other religions. But everyone has the same concept when they go into the house of God. Let me put it that way. It's everyone has it. It's just some actually bind themselves to it, make it a yeah, they want to commit to it and say, okay, if I'm going here, I will go in this manner. But obviously, again, coming back to the yuga, this is Kali Yuga. So Swami didn't give a choice. Swami said, if you're going to sit here, you have to wear this and come. Otherwise, don't come. It's okay. You don't have to sit in this crowd if you don't want to cover yourself. He didn't say don't come to Prashanti. He just said don't sit in this rows if you don't want to. So again, just coming back to the whole thing, it also depends on the yuga of where we are born today. Back in the day, it was different from what it is today. So that is great. So let's talk. So that also goes on to sense of vision. I think we are at time. Okay. So we will continue this discussion, Saira, for next week. So next week, I don't know. It's a long weekend. So I don't know.
Next week is not a long weekend.
No? Okay.
Next week is a regular.
Okay, then next week is regular. So we will all continue our discussion and hopefully we'll finish this next week. And then we can move along to chapter 4. With that, I think I have not changed anything about from the purpose of life application. So I was just working on what helps you live in the moment. So with that, if you can focus on what works for you to live in the moment, that would be something that we can have as a discussion following in this chapter, because that's what the chapter leads to it eventually. So with that, let's end with Om and Three Shantis. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, thank you all for joining today.